Shub, and it is an honor and pleasure to spend Shavuot evening with many of you. I think right now we have 364. The number keeps rising, 5, 8, 9. Friends, strangers, neighbors, folks from around all parts of New York City, all parts of the country, and all parts of the world with us tonight. It is my pleasure to be the Chief Program Officer of the JCC Manhattan, the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan, and I have been up all night with a few more hours still ahead of us to go. The evening has been incredible, beginning with Kululam, studying with Daniel Matt, the wonderful Kabbalist. This is just in this track, Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove, and then most recently, colleagues and friends from around the world, from Mumbai, from Krakow, and from Mexico City. And now I could not be more honored and thrilled to welcome to our virtual stage the incredible Idan Raichel in conversation with Elisha Wiesel. Just to tell you a bit about both of them, as they need no introduction, but I'll do it quickly so we can get to them. Idan Raichel is an incredible performer whose career spans 15 years, and in that time he is one of Israel's most successful artists. He's played in venues across the world. He's become an ambassador representing a world of hope in which artistic collaboration breaks down barriers between people of different backgrounds and beliefs. And tonight, Idan will be sharing stories and a few songs with us, and is joined by our friend and JCC neighbor just next door, Elisha Wiesel, who is a self-described recovering Wall Street executive. Elisha recently raised millions of dollars for New York's neediest populations by convening hundreds of finance professionals to stay up all night, kind of like Shavuot, solving elaborate puzzles in the city streets. He's now using his time in quarantine to learn Metallica songs on guitar from his son, to learn TikTok dances from his daughter, as am I. We can talk about that later. And to organize his father, Elie Wiesel's archives, to learn a little Talmud every day, and to obey his wife and his mother, very smart man. Without further ado, I will introduce you to Elisha and Idan, who will take the stage and share with us some good conversation and some music over the next hour.
Deva, thank you so much. Idan, Boker Tov, Chag Sameach.
Hello everyone, Boker Tov from Tel Aviv. Shalom, shalom.
Bravo, welcome, welcome. Idan, first of all, I have to ask, there's so much speculation. I know your hair was short. There was a rumor it was going to become long again. Just take off that. Short, okay.
Totally short, totally short.
Looks very long to me. You're making me jealous. I want to say one thing first to you and then to our audience. You know, we're so fortunate to have you sing a few songs tonight. If at any point something in our conversation points you in a given direction, stop the conversation, you follow it, you'll play what you want to play for us. If at some point you get bored with what I'm saying, you can just put up your hand, tishtok, and you'll off with whatever music you want to bring. We're so thrilled to have you. For our audience members, you're all going to be muted, but you can supply questions, which we'll try to take near the end of the session via the Q&A function. The exception to the muting policy, of course, is my wife, who is in the room with me, proving once again that she is 100% unmutable. There is nothing that we can do. Oh, she is. So I want to start a little bit by talking with you, Idan, if I can, about song, and since it's Shavuot, the Jewish tradition. What songs did you grow up with? What version of Lecha Dodi did you guys sing on Shabbat? What songs were part of your Jewish experience from an early age?
So thank you all for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here in this Shavuot. It's morning here, and yes, it's a relatively small apartment that we live in Tel Aviv. So when my daughters, we put them to sleep really, really late last night. So there is a chance that they won't wake up and make a mess here. But in case they will join us, this is life, quarantine. So yeah, I grew up in Kfar Saba. For those of you who are not familiar with this city, it's a city 30 minutes from here. I grew up when I grew up, there, it was a small city. When my parents grew up there, it was really little town. And when my grandparents came there, it was only a few families. So the atmosphere that we grew up, it was really like almost like kind of a little, very warm, almost kibbutz atmosphere of a few families. It was such a small place that the grandmothers used to babysit each other's kids. So my parents, the grandmother of my mom, the mother of my mom, the grandmother from my mom, used to babysit my father. So they know each other from really early age, and my parents are actually together since they are 4. It's a long time, since my mom is already 27. It's a long time. And all their best friends are together with them since the age of 4 or since elementary school 6. So when they all grew up and turned 20, 21, they all got married with each other. And they bought this big land and they live there till today. So it's a long road of strong friendship. You always wonder if it's a true love or there were not many options in town. But yeah, there's a strong. The reason that I'm saying all of this is just to understand the atmosphere that I grew up. It's a very, very Israeli-oriented neighborhood. Growing up on Israeli folk, on folk dancing. I used to play accordion, which is, I said it once, by far the non-coolest instrument ever. And I grew up playing accordion, so it kept my ears and my heart open to music, to world music and to traditional music from all over the world, from the waltzes of France to tango of Argentina, or folk music from Israel, and there were a few synagogues in the neighborhood for the Yemenite community, for Ashkenazi community, and I kept listening to I got to know, for example, the Beatles or Jimi Hendrix, or I got to know this really late, only when I was 18, 19. I grew up on very Israeli and I don't know if Jewish music, but on Israeli music. And the Jewish music we heard on at the synagogues.
And was it Ashkenaz? Was it Sephardic? You mentioned Yemenite. You know, what do you remember from those synagogue experiences?
The Ashkenazi synagogue,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, the melodies always were kept in my heart, and I think that these songs are I don't know if to call them songs, but they are like eternity, things like אני מזמירות ושירים ארוך כי אלייך נפשי תהרוג. All these songs are timeless. And by the way,
what about? Sorry.
Yeah.
No, what was your Lecha Dodi? Just because like there's 10,000 Lecha Dodis around the world, 10,000 Lecha Dodi melodies. What was the one you grew up with?
It's interesting that you were saying it. The one that I grew up was Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabla. And these songs are I always say that these songs are really timeless, and all these songs are the songs that will remain here when everything will be gone. What I'm trying to say is that we're writing songs, and there are songs that can be hit on the radio, or songs that change the world, songs of, I don't know, Beatles or even the classical music of Bach or whatever. But at the end of the day, that 700 years from now, the songs that will remain will be only songs that will be sang in synagogues, because yes.
So let me ask you the following question. When you now have, you have two young daughters, right?
Yeah.
So tell me now, what does song look like with your two young daughters around the family table when you are singing, whether it's Shabbat songs or otherwise? I have in my head a picture that your two daughters are singing, but then they have some friends come over and they have some musical instruments, and next thing you know, somebody has an amplifier and the electric guitar, and like all of a sudden it becomes Idan Raichel project. Does it get out of control crazy in an amazing way, or it's more intimate, the music you're able to have with your family in the home?
So my daughters are 6.5 and 5 years old, and I have to say that we are experiencing all the time recomposing. Like I play them and I let them. I don't force it to them like to sing the same melody and stuff, but sometimes we are making up melodies. For example, Lecha Dodi, you know what? I'll play you something that we were sitting a few weeks ago. Let me just make sure that I'm not confusing with the lyrics. Okay, so I'll just get some help here with and I'll play you something that I think turned out really nice. 1 second. Well, we are spontaneous today, so. So I'll play you a little melody that we were playing around the table, and we came up with this. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekavela. אמור זכור בדיבור אחד, בדיבור אחד. שמור זכור בדיבור אחד, השביענו המיוחד אדוני, אחד ושמו אחד, לשמות תפארת ולתהילה, אחד אודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, אחד אודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Something like that.
Wow, that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much, Idan.
Thank you. You can have it in your synagogue next Shabbat. I'll be happy. It will be a privilege. It will be an honor.
We all can't wait till we can go back to synagogue, so we're all waiting eagerly. I want to talk a little bit about the risks that you take for art and the way you organize, the order, the chaos. First, start maybe a little bit with your order. How do you organize your work? Do you organize your work around the different collaborations that you have, different ideas or topics, even keys or things you've heard? Tell us a little bit about how you bring discipline to the creative process. You go in so many amazing directions. How do you keep it all together and organized?
It's an interesting question because there is, since I haven't learned or studied management, or right after the army days, I started working as a counselor in a boarding school. I taught piano, and then I was a freelance keyboard player for different artists in Israel, and then I wanted to get some to get hired as a producer. So I sent like a lot of works of mine just to record labels to get hired as a producer. And then when they liked my productions and my original songs, they offered me to release my own album. And then it was working, learning the process throughout the years. So I guess I studied from experience. For me, the essential thing was to first of all, to split and to separate the soulful and the writing songs process, and you know that you are it's a very you expose your heart, it's a very deep and emotional process to separate the discipline of being bossy, or to manage or to have rules for the band. The challenge was how you're writing a song with your partner, with the drummer, or with a band member, and you're really making it in, and you open your heart, and you're talking about love, and you're talking about life and values and stuff. But then a day after, what happens if he's late? If he's late 15 minutes for a rehearsal, I say to him, listen, you know, we wrote this song. It's very important for me that you'll not be late. Or like in bands, that you give penalty to someone that just was late, or are you firing him? But you just wrote a song with him. So it's a controversial. So the main challenge was how to split it, to be to know that nothing is personal when you're being tough with the band. We are all moving forward to the same goal, and then we also writing the song. So the discipline was the main challenge, because we have a very high discipline in the band, very tough rules, and it took times for also for me, and also for the band members, to know that nothing is personal. And also the second thing was it was very important to know that we are, what are the definitions of the work? How do you define the band? How do you define the work together, or the creative process? I'll give you an example. When I signed a contract in the record label, I was 23, 24, and I was in Helicon Records in Israel. When I remember taking the pen and signing the contract, and it was a dream come true. And I was a young guy that just sang everything that is in heart and mind immediately, like without any filters. So when I signed the contract, the owner of the label said to me, "Welcome to Helicon family." And the first thing that it came out from my mouth, and I don't know if I would say today, definitely not in a rude way, but he said to me, "Welcome to Helicon family." And I said to him, "Listen, I have a family, the Raichel family in Kfar Saba. I'm going to Shabbat dinners at my mom. I don't think that we are family yet, and I don't know if we will be family, but we'll make music together, and we'll make it great." And the reason that I said it is not because I wanted to pull back. It was important for me. I didn't like it that we don't know each other. And he's saying to me, "Welcome to Helicon family. We are not in a family together. We're making music together. And I don't want to be disappointed one day that I will think, oh, in the contract, he didn't give me this and that, and he didn't renegotiate with me." So also, I think that family is a term that you need to keep for your family, and to Shabbat dinners, or to the inner family. And of course, people can join the family if it's like a new sister-in-law, or but not everything. It's like the same thing that we say, that we're using the word love. I love you. I love movies. I love popcorn. We're using the same wording for this. Too easy. So
amazing point. I want to ask you one other thing though, because you also go in a different direction sometimes, which is you've taken incredible risks. You know, you have this collaboration, for example, with Touré, with Vieux Farka Touré, and from everything I understand, that happened in an airport. You just happened to be in an airport with him, and there was no concern. What is he going to think of me if I just go over? You know, my understanding is you just did immediate outreach. You had a creative idea. I could make music with this person. You reach out. Tell us about that part of it, the risk-taking part.
I it was a very, it was one of the greatest experiences that I've ever experienced. I didn't see risk. There was there is only a risk of, you know, if you're getting if you're getting a no and it does something to your ego. But other than that, there is not really a risk, in a way that that we crossed each other. Vieux Farka Touré is one of the greatest guitar players of West Africa, son of a legendary guitar player, Ali Farka Touré, the late Ali Farka Touré. We crossed each other in terminals in Germany, and I told my band, I need a second, and I went to his gate, and I asked him, I told him, listen, I love your music, and I would love to just to play for you. I'm, you know what, I'm even willing to leave my band and to come and to be your keyboard player. Just, and he was pretty much shocked. He said, like, well, okay, I have a concert in Spain next week. If you wanna, I said to him, I know all your music, I'm coming. Don't worry about no flights, hotels, I'll be there. Just tell me time and place and I'll be there. And I bought myself a ticket and I booked the hotels and I came and I made it to the sound check and I played this concert. And after that, it was just fun, and I invited him to Tel Aviv, to play in Tel Aviv. And after playing in Tel Aviv together, we booked a studio during the night, and we recorded kind of a jam session. And this jam session, a year after, we edited and cut it, and it turned out to be an album named the Tura Raichel Collective. It's a very short story for what happened in this in the connection between us. But it's actually it was important. But there are a few parts that we can talk about. I feel that that it is. I grew up. Not grew up. After the army days, I was a keyboard player for many artists, and then when I started to work in the Idan Raichel project, slowly I was also the keyboard player or the piano player of the Idan Raichel project, but I was concerned about the management and about the writing process, but you forget a bit what is to be only, quote unquote, the keyboard player. And my instinct was to go back to be just a keyboard player, the sideman of another artist, of Vieux Farka Touré, and just to see how it feels, how to be on the road, only that. And then it helped me to do something that I'm doing here and there, just to compare. If you're owning a coffee place, I think it is important that once in a while, it depends on you, if it's once in a week or once in a year, that you'll be the guy for one day, the guy that wash the dishes, the kitchen, or one day you'll just waiting tables. And I think that by doing that, you learn the environment that you're creating from, or the environment that you're even managing in an interesting way. You can have some thoughts about it, something, I didn't see it, by being, by managing it from above, or by being the boss or leader. I didn't know that when he washed the dishes, we can do it like that, and it will be better for the thing. So the taking risk, I didn't see it as taking risk. I thought it as I'm just going there, and I'm going back to the roots of what I did, and it was beautiful. And
well, I've only listened to the Paris sessions and Tel Aviv sessions about 1,000 times, so it's just unbelievable. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were saying something.
No, so everything was just to absorb everything. Even, you know, when we're touring with another artist, when I'm not, for those of the listeners who are the audience who are not familiar with this project, we were a quartet. I brought a bass player from Israel, and Virfa Kature brought a percussion player from Mali, and we were traveling, four of us on the road. And it was interesting conversations. For an example, I'm very excited before concerts. I think that every concert is a miracle that people are actually coming, you know, especially outside of our beloved country. When here, you know, it's like people are, I don't know, if like fans or something. But you know, when we're playing in the States, Performing Arts Center, people are actually coming, taking a night off, babysitters, standing in traffic, whatever. It's a miracle that people are actually coming and listening and I always moved about it because, you know, it's not American music. It's people call it world music or Israeli, but Israeli music. Sometimes people call it world music. But
I have one pressing question. I'm sorry.
But by the way, someone told me that asked me about the term world music. That it's interesting that world music always sounds like music. It sounds like world music is so bad that no country is willing to claim responsibility on it. So it's just world music.
Has anybody ever said no to you on collaboration? And then which is a song that really inspires you, you know, from your collaborations that you would want to share with us tonight?
Yeah, so I'll say three things. So one thing about Virfa Kature, I'll just finish this segment. That Virfa Kature, I was always excited before concerts, and Virfa Kature told me, "Why are you so excited about it? Why are you making a big deal out of it? In my village, we're waking up, we're making music." Then we going out there to the fields. We go back. We make lunch. We play a bit. We going up to, you know, to the cows and to the whatever. And then we coming. Mostly every night we're circling by the fire and we're playing. We're circling by the fire. All the villagers coming. We play, and then everyone goes to sleep. Why are you making a big deal out of playing in front of people? Imagine that they are all coming. We're circling by the fire, and in 1 or 2 hours they will go to sleep. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just play your heart. It was interesting. It's just different approach. I still feel that playing in every performing arts center, it's super exciting. Speaking about someone that said to me no for a collaboration, it was very. I called a year or 18 months ago. I called to a guy. I went to a concert in Israel, a band that haven't released any album yet, and there was an amazing oud player, the Arabic Middle Eastern kind of lauta guitar. So he's playing oud, and after the concert, a day after I got his contact and I got his number, and I called him early in the morning, and he was like, hey, hello. And I'm saying, hello, this is Idan Raichel. I wanted to say to you that I've been to your concert yesterday, and I would love to play with you, and I would love to invite you to play with us. And he said to me something, it's very difficult to translate it to English, but he said to me, I always listen to my inner voice, and my inner voice just told me no. So I said to him, okay, so no? So I said, no, my inner voice told me no. And I thought to myself, wow, very interesting. And
by the way, my inner voice is saying yes, I can take his spot if I'm ever offered one.
But then he called me 3 days after, and he told me, because I thought that maybe he's like high on something, and because he didn't even give it a chance. But 3 days after, he called me in the evening and said, hey, Dan, I got the call from you 3 days ago, and I said to you no, and I still think no, but I have a friend that I really think that he fits your band. I thought to myself, wow, this is the coolest guy ever. He's just
I'm having an inner voice right now, Idan. My inner voice is telling me that if I can't get you to play a song, the JCC is never going to invite me back to interview anyone ever again.
Indeed, let's play. Any special request? Any special request?
Whatever brings you joy.
All right, let's play some. So I brought this drum pad. You hear this one? No, I think that.
Yeah. Yeah, we hear it.
Right.
שבעים שנה במכונית, אני נוסע ומביט על מה היה ומה נהיה, ואיך נפשי עוד הומייה מהמצדה של הזריחות, ירושלים בסליחות, בחוף כנרת ואכזי, מהמסיבות של תל אביב, לפי חלם והתפלל, לחיות בארץ ישראל. יום ילדי אותי שואל, מה הסיפור של ישראל? כאן זה בית, כאן זה לב, ואותך אני לא עוזב. אבותינו שורשים, ואנחנו הפרחים המנגינות, שבט אחים ואחיות. מבראשית הכל תפור, טלאים טלאים של הסיפור, כמו שמילים להתחבר, בחוט זהב של משורר. אדם הוא נוף מולדתו, חוד קווים בכף ידו, בין התפילות לנדרים, אחד פרדס של הדרים, ובנר של אמי, תמיד אמצא את מקומי, לגיטרה מתנגן, ניגון עתיק שמכוון. כאן זה בית, כאן זה לב, ואותך אני לא עוזב. אבותינו שורשים, ואנחנו הפרחים המנגינות, שבט אחים ואחיות. כאן זה לב, ואותך אני לא עוזב. אבותינו שורשים, ואנחנו הפרחים המנגינות, שבט אחים ואחיות, שבט אחים ואחיות.
Wow, that was amazing. You're taking me to somewhere very, very spiritual, Idan. It was absolutely beautiful. We're Lamala. I want to ask you one more question, then I want to try to close us in a different direction.
Okay.
Do you think that your work, Idan, changes the views around the world about Jews or Israelis? Is it just giving a platform for more positive voices to come forward? I'm very curious how you think about the implications of yourself as an ambassador.
I think that everything that you're doing that gets some exposure, let people know another information or another experience about a place that maybe they didn't know of before. If someone, for example, haven't heard about Israel, maybe it's the first time for him to learn about Israel throughout the music. Especially by the definition of world music, that, for example, for me, Jamaica will always be the music of Bob Marley. When I listen to Edith Piaf, immediately you think about the streets of Paris. Or when you're, or what Miriam Makeba was for South Africa, or still today. And sometimes it's just give another information. So even talking about racism or something like that, which comes from ignorant, it just give another perspective. So I think that everything that you do will help. Even if you're a chef, Israeli chef that open a restaurant in the middle of Denmark. So Danish people can suddenly think, oh, this is Israel, nice. Because otherwise they see and they know only what they see on the news and what the editor of the news with his agenda wants to show. I'll tell you an interesting story about the same synagogue, doesn't matter where in the world, but outside of Israel. I was talking to the rabbi and I was talking to the cantor. And in my songs, there are a lot of quotes of the biblical texts. So the rabbi told me, you know, actually, Dan, I have to be honest with you. I don't like that you're taking quotes of the biblical texts and you're editing them and you adding your own contemporary lyrics. And sometimes it's even being sang by female vocalists that we can not listen to, and suddenly it's being all blended in kind of popish environment, and then it's being played on the mainstream. I think that it's making something not good to the biblical text. I don't like what you're doing, I have to be honest with you. And then the cantor told me, I have to say not in front of the rabbi, the cantor told me, you know, Idan, I like what you're doing because I think that when people listen to your music on the mainstream, they starting thinking where this text came from. And it brings young generation to the synagogue. And it brings, not young generation, young people, young generation that is outside of the Jewish community to think where these texts came from. And it's just something like, that is welcoming more. And when the rabbi told me this and asked me what I'm thinking about it, so I told him, you know, the only thing that I can think of, first of all, I really respect his way, and mostly I respect his honesty. But I told him, imagine that there is a farmer. Imagine, I told him this, the music that I did, the songs that inspired by Hinach Yafa from Songs of Songs. Like, I told him it's not when I'm playing it, it's not a Jewish song. It's not a song that was meant to be in the synagogue. It's a song. It's just a song. And I told him, imagine that there is a farmer, and this farmer is growing tomatoes, and the whole essence of his being is growing up these tomatoes, this round and beautiful red and very sweet, and it's the perfect tomatoes of all times. This is it. This is the farm. This is what he does. Just tomatoes. And then imagine that I'm a chef. Suddenly I'm taking his tomato. I chop it and I cut it totally, and I cut it and I mix it with cucumbers and pepper, and I added salt and pepper, and I put mayonnaise in the stuff, and this farmer is saying, what the hell did you do to my tomatoes? And I'm chopping it up, and all of this is a side dish to a schnitzel. And then maybe the farmer will tell me, what have you done to my tomato? But I can just tell him, I just used the tomato.
It could be worse, Idan. In America, we would have just turned it into ketchup. I want to take what you were saying on biblical texts and maybe take us on a little trip here, and then it'll be very brief, but it is Shavuot, so I thought we would just study a little text together. And if you have any reactions to the text, maybe that will point you in the direction of a song. So I'm going to share my screen right here, and hopefully this will work for everyone. And I'm going to
you're going to see my back because the screen is here. So I'm going to watch it here.
Okay. So we're going to take a look right now at what we're studying for those of us who are doing, for a number of Jews around the world are doing something called Daf Yomi. They're studying a page of Talmud every day. And we're at a very interesting end of the page today where they're talking about what can be transported on Shabbat. And they're getting to this question now of what can contract tuma, what can become tuma, tame or impure. And we start with these words right here. I don't know if you can see where the cursor is. We're in a new Mishnah. And they say, Minayim l'sfina shahit tahora. How do we know that a ship, a boat, is not susceptible to contamination with tuma? And they say, shenemar, right here. They say right here, shenemar. And now they bring a quote from Shlomo HaMelech, from Proverbs, where it said, derech oniyah belev yam. That, and they're referring to what he says, that you cannot know the path of a ship in the heart of the sea. And a discussion follows. How, what does it mean that because you don't know the path of a ship in the sea, its wake vanishes behind it, that it's not possible for a ship to become ritually impure? And a discussion unfolds. They say, Pshita anya belev yam hahi. They say, well, they're saying that a ship is in the sea, and therefore the sea can't become tame, it can't be impure. What's the big deal to say that a seafaring vessel can't become impure? And there is a whole discussion about, well, is it because it's like a container and only a certain type of container can become impure? Or is it because it's connected to the water and it's just so big and the sea cannot become impure? And they bring a conversation to show that it must be because it's like the sea. And they prove it by saying just a little bit underneath that there are ships on the River Jordan, where they say right here that these ships, you can pack them, and you pack them on land and then you put them in the water. So they have the property of a container, and therefore it must be that they're connected to the wide sea. And this is why something wide cannot contract impurity. And one of the rabbis, jumps up and he basically says, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Le'olam al yimna adam et atzmo mi beit midrash. This is why you can never stop learning. V'afilu shah echad sharei kama shanim nishnat mishana zo b'veit midrash. V'lo nitgala tama ad shavo Rabbi Chanina ben Akavia Perusha. I could have gone my entire life, and had I not been spending time learning and listening, I never would have heard, this particular example. And you should therefore, he says, Zota Torah adam ki yamut be'ohel. You have to keep learning until the day you die. So a very, very short digression into a text. If these notions of the sea or learning till one's final days take you anywhere and towards a song, I would love to see if that inspires you in any direction.
Yes, so I'll play you. This is out of the depth, ממעמקים. ממעמקים קראתי אלייך, בואי אליי, ושובך יחזור שוב האור מעיניי. לא גמור לא עוזב המגע בידייך, שיבוא ויעיר למשמע קול צחוקך. ממעמקים קראתי אלייך, בואי אליי, מול ירח מאיר את דרכך שוב אליי. נפרסו ונמסו מול מגע של ידייך, באוזנייך לוחש שואל, מי זה קורא לך הלילה הקשיבי, מי שר בקול אלייך אל חלומך, מי שם נפשו שתהי מאושרת, מי ישים יד
ויבנה את ביתך. מי ייתן חייו ישימה מתחתייך, מי כעפר לרגלייך יחיה. מי יאהבך עוד מכל אוהבייך, מי מכל רוח יצילך ממעמקים. ממעמקים קראתי אלייך, בואי אליי, מול ירח מאיר את דרכך שוב אליי. נפרסו ונמסו מול מגע של ידייך, באוזנייך לוחש ול. מי זה קורא לך הלילה, הקשיבי, מי שבקול אלייך אל חלונך. מי שם נפשו שתהי מאושרת, מי ישים יד ויבנה את ביתך. מי ייתן חייו ישימה מתחתייך, מי כעפר לרגלייך יחיה. מי יאהבך עוד מכל אוהבייך, מי מכל רוח יצילך ממעמקים. מי יאהבך עוד מכל אוהבייך, מי מכל רוח יצילך ממעמקים.
Just gorgeous. Idan, one of my good friends and really the man who has helped sponsor this entire evening, my friend Jeff Baig, and his brother is the one who we honor with tonight's all-night sessions. He had a question about this very song, so I want to ask it of you. It's a love song. Who is it for?
A few years ago, I thought to myself that that you're writing a song, and once you're releasing it, it's not yours anymore. Once it's released, it's not yours anymore. And if you're lucky, it will become other people's soundtrack of their life. And there is no maybe sometimes it's better not to explain what the songs is about or who is it to, because it's not yours anymore. I was walking in the street not far from here, one day 15 years ago. I was walking and a lady crossed me and told me that one of the songs, Im Telech, she said to me, I got married with your song, Im Telech. I said, wow, thank you. And thank you for telling me. And in the very same street, the very same corner, a day after, a guy stopped me and said to me, listen, I played Im Telech at the funeral of my father. And then I thought to myself, wow, each one of them took the song to totally different direction. So I thought to myself, the song is probably not mine anymore, and there is no need. And if I'm lucky, it became the soundtrack of their life, and there is no need to explain it. So even though I remember what state of mind I was writing the song and whom I was thinking of, it doesn't really matter, because what matters is that someone loved the song and he took it and he can dedicate it to anyone that he wants, and it's his, not less than mine. It's just out there in the cloud.
In the cloud. What a beautiful story. And in this crazy time where weddings and funerals are taking place over computer screens, although Israel is now coming back, but the Talmud says if a wedding procession and a funeral procession meet at an intersection, the funeral has to pause for the wedding. The wedding comes first. Joy must come first.
Right.
I think we're almost out of time. I'm going to thank the incredible JCC staff and Jeff Baig and Joy Levitt and this incredible community that made this happen, and really you, Idan, for taking the time to be with us. And in the remaining, minute or two or three that we have, if there's anything musical that you want to leave us with or any thoughts you want to leave us with, yes. I think people could listen all night long.
Yes, I'll play for you.
לא לפחד להתאהב, שישבר הלב, לא לפחד בדרך לאבד. לקום כל בוקר ולצאת אל החיים ולנסות הכל לפני שיגמר. לחפש מאיפה באנו ולחזור בסוף תמיד להתחלה. למצוא בכל דבר עוד יופי, קוד עד שנופלים מעייפות או אהבה. מכל הרגעים בזמן למצוא אחד לאחוז, להגיד שהגענו. תמיד לזכור לרגע לעצור ולהודות על משהו מאיפה שבאנו. לחבק אותה בלילה, כשהיא נרדמת אז כל העולם נרגע. לנשום אותה עמוק לדעת שתמיד אני אהיה שם בשבילה. לא לפחד להתאהב, שישבר הלב, לא לפחד בדרך לאבד. לקום כל בוקר ולצאת אל החיים ולנסות הכל לפני שיגמר. לחפש מאיפה באנו ולחזור בסוף תמיד להתחלה. למצוא בכל דבר עוד יופי ולרקוד עד שנופלים מעייפות או אהבה. מכל הרגעים בזמן למצוא אחד לאחוז בו, להגיד שהגענו. תמיד לזכור לרגע לעצור ולהודות על מה שיש ומאיפה שבאנו. לחבק אותה בלילה, כשהיא נרדמת אז כל העולם נרגע. לנשום אותה עמוק לדעת שתמיד אני אהיה שם בשבילה. לחבק אותה בלילה, כשהיא נרדמת אז כל העולם נרגע. לנשום אותה עמוק לדעת שתמיד אני אהיה שם בשבילה. I want to thank you for having me here today here with you. Thank you, Elisha. Thank you for all the sponsors and the people who organized this broadcast. And I want to thank you all for joining us. Chag Shavuot Sameach. Hello and Shabbat Shalom from Tel Aviv.
Chag Sameach.
Idan and Elisha, an incredible gift tonight. Thank you. Just to thank you, Idan. We brought you to New York. I think premiered you, the GBC premiered you in New York at Symphony Space about 20 years ago. And to come full circle and be with you tonight for our Tikkun Lal Shavuot. It's just such a pleasure. Thank you. Chag Sameach. Be safe. And come back to New York City very soon when the world allows.
I hope to see you all again.
We look forward to it. Elisha, thank you. Idan.
תודה רבה.
Laila Tov, Boker Tov as it may be.
Boker Tov, Chag Sameach.
חג שמח.